Okay, so imagine you're meeting this new person and you're having a nice little chat. Then suddenly, you brought up the subject of animation by either mentioning the latest movie or a series that you like, and the person that you're talking to asks the big question, "Isn't that like for kids or something?" This would then follow an awkward pause where you list all the things in your head of what you want to do to this person for asking such a stupid question. Now, I am not here to discuss about why animation is more than just for kids. That has already been done to death. There are already plenty of videos, articles, and arguments that have done the job. I don't really need to add anything to it. However, with all these discussions that go into defending the medium, I'm surprised that none of them have really got into the root of the problem. We all know that animation is more than just for kids, but we never looked at the other side and wondered why they would even presume that in the first place. Well, in that case, like I always say, let's find out. Now, before we begin on that, let's have a look at the movies themselves and see if that has anything to do with it. As we all know, maybe, making an animated feature is insanely expensive to make. We're talking about more or less in the 9-digit range for the budget of one movie. This is why mainstream animation has to take minimum risk and just stick to what works best. Nowadays, or at least by the time I made this video, the 3 essential qualifications to make an animated feature are that they have to be in computer animation, they need to be part or entirely a comedy, and they have to have a rating of either G or PG. You can do whatever you want, but they have to have these 3 requirements in order to get the most amount of people watching it. That's why they immediately go in the category of a family film, which by definition means that it's a movie that's meant to be enjoyed by adults as much as it would for kids. Unfortunately, adults don't really see that. Instead, they look at the kids and think that it's more their thing and shouldn't cross that border. Why? Because somehow we think that the same rules apply like how kids are not allowed to see adult films. Which, by the way, animated films made for adults actually do exist. I'm talking about Persepolis, Waltz with Bashir, Chico and Rita, Fritz the Cat, Coonskin, Heavy Traffic, the list goes on. And these movies are not only very adult, they're actually really good. And I mean Oscar-nominated good. However, they do have one major problem. Be honest, have you ever heard of any of these movies? Basically, the reason why they can get away with a rating higher than PG or even go with a hard R is that they're independent films. They're much harder to find than something like The Lion King or Toy Story. And let's face it, when it comes to entertainment, we're freaking lazy. When I have to mention that you have to look for them, and I don't mean find it on Netflix, I mean actually look for it, I'm sure you're thinking, I have to do something to get it? I don't want to go and move and put effort into it. I just want everything handed over to me on an awesome silver platter. You might not think it, but trust me, I know that's what you want. However, one thing I would add to this is that even though you can make an animated film for adults, you should not make an animated film just for kids, like how the common simpleton would believe animation is for. It doesn't work the other way around. As a film critic that specializes in animation, I have seen plenty of movies that were made specifically for children, and they all share one thing in common: they suck. Whenever a major studio has to make a movie whose goal is to profit from dumb little kids, then nobody would put in any effort in the film. The writers don't put any effort. The directors don't put any effort. The actors don't put any effort. The animators don't put in any effort. Not even the producers who spend money on it don't put in any effort. Why? Because they all feel they can do whatever they want without any sort of consequence. Because hey, it's for kids. They're too young to notice flaws in a movie. Just make the characters do goofy things on screen, and they'll think that it's a good thing so we can sucker them in again once we make the sequel. But here's the thing. People will notice, and they will call them out for it for disrespecting the treatment to their film as much as to their audience. If you're gonna call the kids stupid, then you're gonna call everybody who watches the film stupid. But I digress. At this point, we've taken a look at how it's not animation's fault that is considered just for kids. So we can take that out of the equation. So in that case, what is the core of the problem? Well, the answer may surprise you, but it actually comes down to social stance. Now, I know what you're thinking. What the fridge are you talking about? Now, I know, it sounds weird, but let me ask you something. What is the one thing that everybody in the world wants to be? Give up? To be independent. To prove to the world that they are capable of surviving and living on their own, or maybe with a significant partner, and the ultimate symbolism of independence is being an adult. With that said, since adults are seen as independent, then that means that kids are looked upon as the symbolism of being dependent, that most of the things that they need to do in life require a parent to help them. Now, let's take a look at all the things that both kids and adults do that are considered common. Under normal circumstances, kids are seen living with their parents, drinking juice, go to school, and watch whatever's on Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network. Adults, on the other hand, are often seen living alone or with a roommate or a significant other, drinking beer, go to work, and watch whatever's on AMC or HBO. So for many people, they believe that you have to make the sacrifice to do the things you do as a kid in order to become an adult, or should I say, independent. One of which being watching cartoons like animated TV shows or movies, because let's face it, those are mostly the things you were allowed to watch as a kid and what looked the most appealing to you at the time. That's why you don't commonly see just adults watching a family film. The normal reason to why any adult would be there is because they would be accompanied by a kid who actually wanted to watch it. But again, this is nothing more but social stance. We're not talking about law or morality here. It's all about the way that society sees you. The worst thing that can ever happen to you in this scenario is that people you don't know or might not see again will see you as a weirdo. That's it. I know that thinking how the world around you think of you is a very intimidating thought. But may I be the first to say that who the fridge cares of what society thinks of what you like and what you don't like? The only person who should care about your personal interest is you. Just be yourself. And if you're the only one that believes in animation as a film medium, then great, you stand out from the crowd. And when you do stand out, you never know if someone might be influenced and would join you by your side. Maybe we can't change the mind of society that animation is more than just a kid's genre, but you know what? That's their loss. They'll never understand the true beauty that animation can offer, like The Secret of NIMH, The Iron Giant, Fantasia, and so much more. And keep in mind, the success of animated features nowadays have grown to the point that some are starting to make billions of dollars and are beloved by so many. It's not just kids that are singing the thousands of versions of Let It Go. It's not just kids that are making fan art of Minions dressed up as whoever they want. Some adults may not want to admit it, but the appreciation of animation is clearly there. All in all, people are just not asking the right question to themselves. Instead of thinking, is animation for kids? It's better to ask yourself, is animation for you?
Now that we're men, we can do anything. Now that we're men, we are invincible. Now that we're men, we'll go to Chelsea, get the crown, save the town, and Mr. Krabs. Now that we're men, we have facial hair. Now that we're men,
I changed my underwear.
now that we're men, we got a manly flair. We got the stuff, we're tough enough to save the day. We never had a chance when we were kids. No, no, no. But take a look at what the mermaid did.